Good afternoon and welcome to the Dr. Surajit Khanna Returning Youth Radio Show. We're on the radio live in WPAT every Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. to, well, over 30 million homes. And not only that, but you want to see our wonderful faces? We have some fantastic guests today. So, with the exception of me, you can see our wonderful faces at facebook.com/Khanna, the number 4 kids. Facebook.com, Khanna 4 kids. And actually, we're broadcasted on 6 other channels at the same time: YouTube, Facebook, and also Twitter. Dr. Khanna, he is an attorney, a child safety advocate, a servant of the underserved, champion of the nonprofit organization Voice of the Kids. He launched his post-incarceration juvenile justice reformation act called Dr. Surajit Khanna's Returning Youth Initiative. You can find out more at returningyouth.com. That's returningyouth.com. This initiative provides post-incarcerated young adults housing, training, along with required medical and psychological assistance they need to get a job, build their careers, and greatly improve their lives. Dr. Khanna, after researching the Post-Incarceration Juvenile Justice Reformation Act, saw that it really covered 3 areas: pre-incarceration, safety during incarceration, and post-incarceration. But post-incarceration was very, very weak. So he decided, listen, he's going to address that with his post-incarceration Returning Youth Initiative. In addition, he also leads the training program for young adults at inspireyourbestlife.com. We all want to get our best life. So Dr. Khanna is training people to enjoy their best life. We have 3 exciting guests that brought to you today by the wonderful Sharon Drake, the amazing Sharon Drake PR consultant, and also we want to welcome Edward Sargent. But our guests today, are going to be Nina Hickson, the Atlanta, Georgia city attorney with 100 lawyers reporting to her; Rushern L. Baker III, former county executive, 2 times elected in Prince George County, Maryland; and Bernard Gatewood, former Fairbanks, Alaska. I was going to say Atlanta, but Alaska. And all these people, I just want to say, have an interest in, as you can see here, the photos I have an interest in post-incarceration, pre-incarceration, the juvenile justice system. They have an expertise in it. Without any more background, I would like to introduce our primary reason for being here, the head of the initiative, along with Clem Yeboah, the chairman of Voice of the Kids. I didn't want to forget about him. Thank you, Clem. Welcome, Dr. Khanna.
Thank you very much, Gary, for hosting this wonderful event every Friday, 3 to 4 p.m. And thank you, the audience, those who are listening to me and those who are not tired yet, for listening to me every Friday. I'm thankful to the CFC. Brother Willie is not here with us, but because of him, it is possible that we could reach out to all the audience, those who are listening to Friday, especially for this particular initiative, Returning Youth Initiative, which we call that in short, but actually it is Post-Incarcerated Juvenile Justice Reformation Act Initiative. And I would like all the audience, those who are listening to me and will be listening to all the participants today, that every single individual coming out of jail, especially those who are young adults, they have a future. They have a hope. They should not feel that they don't have a hope in life. And I don't want them to make any decisions without thinking that there is a hope. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel. We are here to provide that. And I would like to thank very much to Sharon Drake, who I always announced, and I do announce, that she is the mother of the initiative. So any young adult, those who are listening to us, please reach out to Sharon Drake, and you can, it is 1-800 Sharon Drake. Sorry, that's not the number, but you can always reach out to 302. I don't have the number in front of me, but it is called
302-746-2311.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Gary. And I would like to thank Brother Surgeon, who is from Washington Post, past editor there, and he has enlightened this show And he has enlightened all of you, my dear audience, those who are listening today, that he has been consistent in supporting this initiative. I can't thank him enough for joining us here today. And because of Sharon Drake, we have three wonderful guests, like Gary already announced, that Attorney Hickson from Atlanta, Georgia, that's my hometown. And Gary said 100 attorneys report to him. Well, Ms. Hickson, you want to put another one to that, that's me. I will report to you from now on because I need somebody like you who can put me in straight because I'm not doing enough for the audience at all. And also, I would like to thank Mr. Baker from Maryland because, again, I'm going to tell why I am so enthusiastic to have all of you here. And then all the way from Alaska, my dear audience, you don't understand that this radio is going all the way to Alaska. So we have Mr. Gatewood from Alaska joining us here, and I just can't have enough to thank all of you for this particular opportunity we have today. And this initiative and these three individuals who joined us, I was told they are the Howard University alumni, and their main role is public servant. They serve. And you know what? Since I started this initiative, I was told to put in my business card, which I can show it to you. I don't know if it is in the camera, you can see here. No, you can't see. It says my name and the title is Servant of the Underserved. I was told not to put any other title there, to put Servant of the Underserved. So if I can serve all of you, and if I can make this as my lifetime vision, then I will be happy because we are servant of somebody. We are not independent. We are servant of somebody. Either we are servant of God, or we are servant of our senses, or we are servant of somebody. So it's better to be servant of God and all these children of God. So that's why this program is very, very important. And that's why all of you are here today. And my dear audience, those who are listening, please tell all your friends and families that if they have anybody come out of post-incarceration, we have a platform for them. Because this initiative provides a holistic approach. We just don't put a housing. We don't just give a job. We just don't give food. We just don't give clothes. No, we give here. That's why we call Sharon Drake as the mother of this. Why? Because there is a reason behind it. We give here love and care to everybody come out. Anybody can give housing. Anybody can give clothes. Anybody can give food. But the love and care that a mother could give is not replaceable. And that's what we are trying to add that here in this particular initiative. And that's my goal. So we are going to provide this love and care as a wrapper along with everything else. We are creating jobs. We are not just employing people. Oh, because you need a job, because you need to pay your bills and food. No. We are creating jobs. That means each individual, those who are going to be employed, they will be creating jobs so that they can have other people also be employed in their organization. So we are creating jobs. That means what? We have public servant from Maryland. You have worked in Maryland in the city. Job creation is the main thing for boosting the socio-economy situation of the city. So we are creating jobs. We are not just going to hand over you a job. Similarly, the person, Ms. Hickson, you're coming from all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Now I'm telling you, I had a dream that I need to take this initiative to my home state, that's Georgia. Now you are able to fulfill that dream It may not happen tomorrow, but I'm seeing that we can make it happen. Same thing, Maryland. I'm in Pennsylvania right now. It is next door. In our list, we have Washington, D.C. and Maryland to be our next place where we can bring this initiative to. So now it is confirmed by Sharon Drake by bringing you here that we can do it. I never thought of going that close to my next door neighbor that is from Alaska. I never thought of that. Okay. But now you are giving me the inspiration that we can definitely do this in Alaska also. Alaska is not that far. I just told before the show that Alaska is next door to Georgia. So if you have not seen it, that's what it is. And thank you, all of you, and claim, without you, this initiative would not be possible. So we have a wonderful person all the way from Ghana. He traveled here just to serve this community. So we all are here. And why are we concentrating this month as the Black History Month? In this show, I told many times why February is considered the shortest month and shortest way to recognize Black people. Why? Why cannot Black people be recognized every month? Every people should be recognized every month. Whoever has contributed to this country, they needs to be recognized. It doesn't matter whether it's a Black, doesn't matter if it's a purple or green or yellow, doesn't matter. Everybody needs to be recognized. We need to be in the equal footage, but that's not the case. Dr. Martin Luther King took us to that path to make it equal. And also today is the day I think it is the 15th Amendment, Gary, right?
Yes.
In the 15th Amendment, today is the day when everybody was allowed to vote. Today is the day. So the African Americans were allowed to vote.
This is a historic day then, isn't it, Dr. Khanna?
Was that?
There's a lot of history carried in this day, correct?
I know. So
I have a question.
Please jump in. Please jump in.
Here it is. And first of all, thank you for allowing me to participate. I feel very honored, trust and believe. Mr. Baker, I've followed your career since you began it from a distance, but as soon as I saw you on TV as representing Maryland, I live in DC, I said yes. And I listened to you and I saw how you carried yourself as a man, as a leader, as someone who didn't bite his tongue. All I could do is I saluted the TV station. I said, yes, that's my guy. And that's what I am. I'm an observer. So here, this is what I've observed, Dr. Khanna. You have just said that the shortest month in the year is dedicated to Black history. Black people have always, a long time, actually made note of that, of course. We haven't let that stop us. We started with 1 week, Black History Week. Remember, everybody should remember that. The question is this: there are a lot of Black people, a lot of Black leaders who say that Black people are an exceptional people, that we're the only people who've been made in America, that we are no longer Africa, that we've been separated from our people. And so here's the question: do you believe, or maybe we can kick this around, do we believe, does anybody believe here, that Black people do and must have a dedicated, customized, carefully designed program, government, private sector focus for the reparations that no one in this country is not like competing, well, you've suffered more than I, or I've suffered more than you. No, let's just deal with the facts. And the facts are what they are. And so my question is, I heard you say, and please, we talk openly, don't take it personally, but you said everybody needs to be recognized every month, which is true. But that sounds like that sounds sort of, it's dismissing. It's dismissive of us. And you didn't mean that. But I want you to understand, I'm going to be quiet now. Perhaps somebody here wants to pick up from that, but let's talk about that. Do Black people deserve a reparations? Do we deserve things that are customized for us? And I'm not going to compare us to anybody else. I'm not going to do that. That's the question. Do Black people deserve, and is it needed for reparations? As you know, there's HR 40. Let's talk about that.
Well, thank you very much for asking a very blunt question, and thank you very much for that. And as you rightly said, and you are true, that I did not mean when I said that everybody needs to be recognized, I did not mean to dissipate or undermine the Black people. I didn't mean that. What I meant was that Black people should not be only recognized in the month of February. We need to talk about them. There are many wonderful leaders and there are wonderful people, those who have done enough, more than any other people in this country to take this country where we are today.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Dr. Khanna. Anybody else? May I jump in and help this dialogue? That's what I think I'm supposed to do. I'm a journalist, so forgive me for asking a lot of questions. But
well, let's ask Nina. Let's ask Nina. She's not muted. So
now, what I was going to say is one of the things that has already been pointed out is that three of us who are guests here this evening, well, four of us, are all connected by our having been or being alumni of Howard University, which, as most of you know, is an historically Black institution. But one of the things that we get through that is a focus on the contributions that people of African descent or of the African diaspora have made to the world. We also get a sense of the importance of service, as this program is entitled In Truth and Service. And so as a result of our experiences, we know that while we have gained a lot through our experiences at Howard and otherwise, that we still have an obligation to give and to try to bring along others who may not have the resources or the connections or those other things that are necessary in terms of being successful. Do we deserve reparations? Sure. That's a loaded kind of concept, but I do think that it is important for there to be an acknowledgement of the contributions of African Americans, of Black Americans, and those of African heritage, to acknowledge the contributions, because they've been overlooked for so long, but also because we weren't seen even at the beginning of the creation of our country as fully human. And so we come, with a history of having to be viewed as less than human and having to overcome that. And unfortunately, some of those vestiges still remain. So I think there is a need to continue to lift up African Americans or Black people, history, contributions. And so that's my small contribution to this discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Nina. Listen, I would like to introduce you because I want to get to this section of we're going to be talking directly to you and asking you about your background. But
Sure.
Quickly, attorney and Honorable Nina Hickson is Vice President and General Counsel of the Atlanta Beltline Incorporated, which is the most comprehensive transportation economic development revitalization effort ever taken by the city of Atlanta. You're talking about $10 billion in economic development. She's a public speaker on juvenile justice. She has a lot of experience on this particular subject. She is the Honorable Nina R. Hickson, was appointed as a judge to Fulton County Juvenile Court. And as the presiding judge at the time, the court had the largest juvenile court caseload in the state of Georgia. She is now the Atlanta, Georgia city attorney and has about 90 to 100 lawyers reporting to her. It is an honor to have her here. Welcome, Nina. And we want to hear about juvenile justice, and we want to open a conversation with you and Dr. Khanna.
Absolutely. As I've heard about and read about Dr. Khanna's efforts, I have to admit that it had not occurred to me that there wasn't quite the emphasis on post-incarceration that there needed to be. There is emphasis on prevention, on detention alternatives, but the post-detention of young people is not an area where we put a lot of emphasis. And one of the things that has made that real for me is there's a young man who was in my court on the what was known as the dependency side, because his mother had mental health issues. His grandmother was his guardian, but the grandmother's husband said that they had too many children. So one day they bring him to court and they just leave him there. He's eight years old. And that thing has always sat with me, that can you imagine being 8, being taken to a building and just left there? Well, we reconnected a few years ago. And while he is striving mightily to do well, what became apparent is there wasn't a lot, particularly once he aged out the system. And as with a lot of kids who are in the system, he also had a juvenile delinquency background, which then he then ended up having some adult charges as a 17-year-old. And he has just had the hardest time trying to, adjust. It's because of his will to do something different, but he has had so many obstacles because he doesn't have the level of support that somebody who might have a family or a family system might have. And he's out here trying to navigate it. And so I'm just wanting to support the notion that having a program where you focus on the needs of young people who have been detained or incarcerated, there is a great need. And certainly it's something that we could benefit from in Georgia, and the approach is one that I think is very helpful when you're talking about nurturing and helping to develop young people. I mean, I think about when I was 18, I guess I was at Howard at the time. I was fortunate I had both my parents, but if I had been out here by myself, I don't know where I would have ended up. I had the blessing of being, of having strong family, having support system, having an institution of higher learning that cared about me as a person. And so anyway, I just want to affirm what you're doing, Dr. Khanna. I think it's—
Thank you very much, Attorney Hickson. I'm blessed that I could have you here today, and I'm sure my whole purpose of coming onto this radio is for letting everybody know that there is a hope. I don't want people like you observed, in your court, you saw that 8-year-old person, okay? And I've been seeing this. I have been seeing in my church, in my society here, I've seen a few weeks ago, I had a 24-year-old, person who committed suicide because he thought everybody is rejecting him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it just happened. While we are going through this program, through this initiative, it happened. I couldn't save him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and and this is happening. This is happening every single day. And I'm really thankful that you came here, joined, and you are seeing that, because you are in the juvenile system. You are seeing it. That I'm not saying that the people don't care about the post-incarcerated people, but here what we need to do is we all need to work together to change the perspective of the people in the community. If this 8-year-old person, or if this 24-year person who comes out of jail because he made some mistake when he was 16, 18, 12, whatever, he made a mistake and he paid for it. When he comes out, love him, give the love, give the care, hug him, give him every single opportunity they need. Otherwise, we are going to lose him. My whole thing is that if we cannot create a a living being, if we cannot create a human being, if we have to depend upon God to create a human being, we don't have any right to hate that person. We don't have any right to reject that person. And because of our rejection,
may I ask you a
today
question?
they are dying.
Excuse me, I apologize. I don't want to cut you
Yes,
off.
Brother Eddie.
Yeah, it's always sad to hear about suicide. It is a very, very big problem, and it's a growing problem. Was this individual a Black individual or a?
Yes, he was very much Black individual, and he was going through reformation. He was full-time, trying to serve the community through the church.
Okay, how about this? And yeah, I'm gonna continue to hammer this. I think that may be my role here today. It seems to me that metric, that's something that can be measured. We know the numbers of individuals in this country who commit suicide in the racial aspect. It's not a guarantee, but I want to throw this idea. Do you think reparations, not necessarily you, I want to hear from maybe somebody else who hasn't spoken. You think reparations could lower suicide for Black people? I think it could. I actually think it could for a lot of Black people. Why? Because it can keep a lot of Black people, us, out of the prison system.
Well, I mean,
Go ahead.
I just want to say this. I think that the concept of reparations and the dialogue around reparations tend to minimize and dilute the need for bringing everyone to the table so that we can move forward together. The tendency is for us to focus on the slicing economic piece and giving it away without attaching to it the socio-political values that go with recognizing a vibrant society. So what could happen, and I'll throw this out there, a piece of dollars are sliced and given, and then the people are gone. Mm-hmm. What happens the run after? Without the appropriate socio-political weight, of that group of people, if we are not fighting for that, if what we are looking for is the economic slice, and that is given, the people are now in a situation where our young people are squandering their lives. They're doing different things that they shouldn't be doing. They will continue to do those things because now they have the monetary power to do those things, right? That does not guarantee that they will be able to operate in the society or have the right political weight or do anything. So a conversation about reparations without the appropriate conversation about social equality, about political weight, about other things, in my view, it's not going anywhere.
I totally agree with you.
Let me go on record. Let me go on record saying I am never going to speak against reparations. If reparations is on the table, absolutely, African Americans, Black people deserve them, and I want my share, whatever that slice is. But my question is, what does reparations look like? And when I hear that term, I always think about a check. Is it $2,000? Is it $200,000? I don't know. And if it is some type of financial outlay, the group, the demographic that we're talking about, youth right now, probably is not going to have much access to that because they're minors and their money is going to be controlled by some adult and probably their parents. So if we could have a meaningful and kind of a brief conversation and not here, but about what reparations looks like. And if we can come to some meaningful agreement about those reparations, then sure, let's go for it. But I don't want to get wrapped around the axle arguing about whether it needs to be a check, whether it needs to be programs, whether it needs to be whatever. in 10 years, we're still talking about the same thing and maybe in a worse place than we are now.
Thank you. Thank you,
If-
Bernard. I want to move on with the interview section and make sure we get all our guests have enough time. Before I move on to Rushern, I just want to, out of politeness, ask the Honorable Nina, does she have anything she would like to follow up on? Any closing comments?
Only that it's my honor to have been asked to participate in the program. You're, in addition to being with some of my favorite people in the world, this is also an opportunity to talk about a subject that that I care about a great deal. And so I appreciate the opportunity to do that.
So thank you
this is
very
a
much.
reunion.
Thank you very much, Attorney Hickson, for coming here, joining here, and definitely we will take. And again, I'm going to repeat that audience, those who are listening, I'm sure there are some audience from Georgia are listening as well. So now I am confirming that this initiative is going to come to Georgia and we'll definitely be there. Please tell all of your known people, all your friends or families, those have kids or those who are having some type of young adults, those are coming out of jail. Please, we are there to help them, to take them. Like Brother Surgeon said, suicide is not the solution. It hurts the community. It hurts us. So we are here to help you. So definitely, thank you very much for Attorney Hickson for joining us today. I'm honored to have you here, Gary.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce our next guest, Rushern L. Baker III. He's the former county executive from Prince George County, Maryland. He was elected twice. He is now 2 terms, and he's also president and CEO of Baker Strategy Group. I guess that's a coincidence. It's the same as his last name. And he's working with the University of Maryland and started a National Leadership Institute for local chief executives and local government, consulting them. I'd like to welcome Rushern L. Baker III. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. Like Nina said, I'm on here with some of my favorite people from Howard University, and you definitely got a good core of leaders. Thank you, Sharon Drake, for bringing us all together. You know, just to talk about this from 2 standpoints, Dr. Khan. I as a county executive, so in 2 roles, I served in the legislature for 8 years, and during that time, I served on the Judiciary Committee, where we had to deal with not only incarceration of adults, but a big part of the subcommittee I was on was dealing with our juvenile justice system. And how do we, you know, provide the type of wraparound services that you're talking about? We do a lot with, you know, before people are going to jail or once they're in our system, but we don't talk a lot about what happens when they're returning. As county executive, I got to see that up close and personal. One, because, you know, I was county executive of the 2nd largest jurisdiction in the state of Maryland. We have almost 1 million people. But the majority of juveniles and adults who are returning citizens to Maryland are coming to basically 2 places, Baltimore City and Prince George's County. And so one of the initiatives that we had as county executive is to do exactly what you're talking about. And that is, how do we, 1, focus on preventing these children from going into the justice system in the first place? How do we deal with them and make sure they get in the type of support and education they need while we have them in our system? But while we have them in our system, how do we then prepare for them to go back into society and not return and to have a fulfilled life? So we would turn to nonprofits like yourself to work with the community in doing that. Now, we started that system. We work with the faith-based nonprofits, but certainly understanding that if we want to, because one of the biggest frustrations I had as a legislator was seeing the recidivism rate of young people. And so our notion was, how do we solve that? So the last piece I want to put on there, though, going to and thank you, Mr. Sargent, for what you said about me. I appreciate it. I want to go to your point when we talk about reparations. So as my good friend, you know, Bernard Gatewood talked about, people think of a check. What I think about as an executive is I think about what Mary Frances Berry, who taught at Howard, who's from Howard, said about reparations is, how do you take that money? We know the pool of people who were discriminated against and who really right now need help. You think about our juvenile justice system. We're really talking about mostly Black and brown children in society. We look at our public school system, K through 12. We're talking about Black and brown children who are falling behind. We talk about, in the time of Corona, we talk about health disparities. As a county executive in a fairly wealthy African-American county, we still had major health disparities in our county. That reparations that Congress is talking about, if that could be shaped in the type of money that goes out and helps these communities that we can identify with juvenile justice, with returning citizens, with health, education, housing, then yes, that's a way that you can use it that's tangible, that's not simply giving everybody in America, $25. That's using it in a way that can be constructive. So a program like yours, you're talking about expanding it across the nation. Well, how do you expand that? That takes resources. But this may be a resource to help the community that's going to have a long-term impact.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baker. Again, like I said, I'm honored that you joined here today, and this assures, or this gives assurance and affirms to the audience, those who are listening, that we can successfully take this initiative to your state, Maryland, as well. But let me bring this up. You just brought a very good thing about working together. This is why this initiative is all about, because people, and this is the nature of the human being, and you've been in the, in the legislative system, you have been in the executive role of the government. People love to point fingers to each other. Oh, the government is not doing anything. Nobody is doing anything. Okay, well, the children, those who are coming out of the jail, those are not only government children, those are our children.
Right.
What are we doing? We are sitting here and we are watching that government is going to do something.
Right.
Why are we going to sit and watch that government is going to do something?
Well, I think, and that's a very good way to approach it, because what I would get as county executive is people are like, well, what is government going to do? And I would remind them, government is us. It's your tax dollars. It's not coming out of some mysterious pot of money, in my backyard that I pull out and fund these programs. It is tax dollars. So what are you committed to doing?
Right.
We know government can't do it all. It's also when nonprofits come up to us and say, hey, we think you should do something about this. Great. I think we should work together. What
absolutely.
Can we do? And then the important part, and I think this gets to the point about whether it's reparations or whether it's tax dollars or whether it's private dollars, it's actually shaping bringing those dollars together so they have a major impact.
Exactly.
One of the things that I did when I was county executive is, and I'd worked for a nonprofit. There's like 1 million nonprofits running around Prince George's County. I can give everybody $50,000 and you could do basically nothing. Or we can concentrate those resources where it has the greatest impact. So if you had a program, if you brought your program to Prince George's County, when I was county executive, there were areas of the county that were the hardest hit. I would say to you, if you're willing to go into those areas, help us identify, we can help you identify the children that are coming back and the young people that are coming back. If you've got a program that will help us make sure that they have the type of services they need to be productive, to live a quality life, that's where we're going to put our resources. And so those are the things that I turn back on folks when they say, well, what is government going to do? I'm saying, glad you asked, because you're now a volunteer.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Baker. Let's do
Well, let me.
Those who are audience, those who are listening, that's the point where I'm trying to make here, that what Mr. Baker just said, being an ex-county executive, he always faced this, and we always face this. So we need to protect these children. The children are innocent. We need to vote. We need to give them the direction. Yes. And Mr. Baker, please help us so that we can go to your county. Even if you're X, still, it is your county. We can do it, and let's do it. Mr. Iboa, you are trying to make a point here.
Yes. Again, government has always been involved. So government is the one that creates legislation that allows things to happen. For example, in the 80s, there was the Title VIII set aside, which allowed minority accounting firms to access certain government contracts. These were set aside for minorities. Okay, so government always has a role in setting aside resources to address the needs of minority populations. So we should never forget the role of government. Now, when those set-asides were done, certain minority accounting firms became major players in the marketplace. Okay, I can still see that in certain different industries, we could still do set-asides. And the set-asides would allow minorities to come to the table. And always, even if we're going to take 1 million people on $1 million march for 1 million miles, we still have to take that first step. A lot of times, that first step is for us to go to government and ask government to do something.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Iboa, to bring that point up. And again, I always divert because this show is dedicated for this audience, those who are listening, because we want to make use of this time for the audience to reassure or have some type of hope that, you know what, we are here. Maybe, how many were here on the phone? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe it's only 8 out of 30 million homes listening. But these 8 people, those who you are listening to today, we can help you to make the decision, make a difference. We can help you. We are not going to do it for you, but we are there to help you. Like Mr. Baker said, we are there. We are going to partner with you to make this happen. But you have to come forward to do it. And thank you again, Mr. Baker, for bringing that light up. Actually, Gary, before I have to have an announcement because this is March is coming from Monday.
Good.
So, we'll do that. But please introduce the other guest.
Go ahead. Do your announcement now. Go ahead.
No, you have another guest. So
Yes.
please introduce the other guest.
Well, before we go to the next guest, again, out of I want to be polite for both of our prior guests, Nina Hickson and also Rushern. Do you have anything you want to say before we get on to talk to Mr. Gatewood?
No, I'm excited to hear what my good friend Bernard Gatewood is about to say. He's a true leader.
Well, this is like a reunion, we said, and the only thing that's missing is the finger food and the drinks. But Bernard Gatewood is retired. He used to be the superintendent of Fairbanks, Alaska Youth Facility. He now sits on a number of boards. I'd like you all to welcome Bernard Gatewood. Bernard, thank you.
You're quite welcome, and thank you for having me. I'm quite honored that my good friend Sharon Drake asked me to be a part of this panel. And I saw the YouTube production last week with you and Dr. Khanna, and I certainly did a little research on Honor for Kids just so I know what I was getting into. But I've been retired for 5 years now. Prior to that, I was the superintendent of the Fairbanks Youth Facility, a state-run juvenile detention and long-term treatment facility in Alaska. And one of the things that I always focused on with the kids was vocational education. First of all, when you came into the facility, you were going to be enrolled in school, as one of the education entities. The Fairbanks School District had an obligation to teach kids that were incarcerated. So it didn't matter if you had never been enrolled in school, if you had dropped out, whatever. If you came into the youth facility and you were going to be with us for more than 3 days, you got enrolled in school. And in the long-term program, we focused on 2 things, a diploma or a GED. Tried to be practical. If you're 17 years old, you only got 2 credits, 3 credits, the chances of you getting a high school diploma are not good. Let's focus on the GED. But I wanted them to leave with some type of educational accomplishment. The other thing kind of paired with that was a focus on vocational education. A lot of kids that came into the system, they weren't Rhodes Scholars. They weren't interested in the honor roll. And a lot of them just didn't have that foundation, that background to be able to attain those heights. But they might be good poets. They might work well with their hands. So we tried to focus on creating partnerships and using our networks to partner with automotive companies, putting kids to work in car shops. We partnered with the school district to have like little like mini work sessions, say during spring break. Instead of our kids just having fun, like the kids who were on spring break and going to the movies and the beach, they might do a class, like a culinary class. And we might bring in, as a guest to that class, a chef from one of the local restaurants. And in that, we were doing 2 things. Making it humanizing the kids, letting that chef see that, yeah, these are criminals you're working with, but these are just regular human beings, and they might have a few skills. And letting the kids see that here's a business person who is taking an interest in me. So if I get out, maybe I can go work at such and such a restaurant. Or maybe this person is willing to write me a letter of recommendation because I did a good job in this class. So anytime some type of vocational opportunity came up, I was all over it. One of the things I did was join the Chamber of Commerce. That allowed me to interface with business leaders on a weekly basis. And it's all about creating rapport. If you have that network, then you can get a lot of things accomplished that otherwise you couldn't. Now, the one thing I was not able to do is I wanted to create magic. I don't think what I did was sustainable because it was based on my personality and my ability to go out and meet people and connect with them. But that's what we need. We need to be able to create magic, not just have a magician that can make this happen, juggle this ball, make that happen. But during the time that I was in the Fairbanks Youth Facility, I think we did a lot of good things. We had a program with one of the firefighting agencies where we trained kids that were 18 or almost 18 to be emergency firefighters. So some of these fires that you hear about in California in the summer or Montana, sometimes some of those firefighters were guys that had been in the Fairbanks Youth Facility that had gotten their certification and were out fighting fires. We wanted to train kids to have some type of career that provided them a living wage. Once they come out, as Dr. Khanna has been hammering home, if they have to go back into the same environment that they left, well, chances aren't good. If they come out, they don't have some type of viable work to do, chances are they're going to go back to the same thing. I think we all know that selling drugs, if you're a good drug dealer, you can make a lot of money. So you can't tell a kid, yeah, just go out and get a minimum wage job. I don't have anything against working at McDonald's. Matter of fact, we put some kids in McDonald's. We put kids at Subway, but the focus was on getting some job training, building a network, and eventually getting work with a living wage. And that's why I like what you're doing, Dr. Khanna, in New Jersey with the trucking company. Those are the kind of things that might shift the kid, might shift their thinking, might change their whole paradigm of, wow, this is a career. I can do something. Because kids usually want to do what their parents have done. Boys especially, they want to do what their father's done. So if the family business is selling drugs or robbing houses, who the heck are we to say, don't do that? Because we always see kids, we always see people following their family's footsteps in other dangerous things. Every race car driver usually has a son that wants to be a race car driver, even though the chances of you crashing at 200 miles an hour and killing yourself are very good. But we don't tell them, oh, don't do that because that's dangerous. You need to go be a doctor or something. So kids always want to follow what their parents have done. And what I wanted to do was give them another avenue. Let them see that you have more options. Hey, your dad's a great guy. I understand you want to be like him. And I'm not going to focus on, yeah, he's been in jail for 10 years or whatnot. I am going to focus on, you've got this skill writing poetry. So I'm not going to say that the family business is just terrible, even though it is. I'm going to say, hey, why don't you focus on this? You've got some talent. You don't have to do everything that your brother and your uncle and your dad did. You've got some other areas. You can create another track for your little brothers and your kids. Or you're good with money. Hey, you might want to take a business course. You don't have to go to college for 4 years, but take a course at the community college and use your other skills. So I'll stop there. But the last thing I want to say, Mr. Serrano, is while we're talking about training and getting things for kids, we need to make sure we're doing a better job of training our workers. Because in detention, the easiest role for frontline staff is command and control. And anything else requires real work. And if you're going to make an impact and change the direction of a kid's life, you got to connect with them. You can't just tell them, go sit down, pick up that piece of paper, and just order them around because you have the authority over them.
Thank you. Thank you. And I just want to say, we just touched on so many things today with these fantastic guests. We'd love to have you back on, have your own segment, spend some more time, because I feel like we rushed some of our guests. I apologize, but I do have to get to Dr. Khanna. He has an announcement. So Dr. Khanna, I'm going to turn the mic over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bernard, Mr. Gatewood, for bringing this wonderful thing that you worked in the juvenile youth program, where, and how important is this vocational training is. How important this is for making them a reformation. And that's all we want to focus on. And I have no words to thank Sharon for bringing all of you here. And this is a wonderful segment. And I'm sure before we end this, I would like each of you, the guests, those who are here today, to say even 30 seconds to the audience. What message should they hear so that they can reassure their hope for this particular initiative? And by saying that, March is coming from Monday. And my best friend here from ex-Washington Post, he is the best one to, lead this at one point or other. And he definitely supports this. And last week when we had the governor of New York, Mr. David Patterson was here, he's mentioned something about March, Million March. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we did launch a March Million People, $1 million campaign in I think it was in January or February. We launched it in order for us to have this particular message to go to million people, and if they support us with $1, that will be enough for this initiative to move to different segments. But since March is coming, you cannot have a better thing to do. We are to march it. That means this is a movement to march it. So I would like to announce that from March 1st, we are taking this particular campaign in a very serious and solid way so that we can help at least few thousand people few thousand post-incarcerated people in different parts of United States. Now, you all seeing that we are attracting people all the way from Alaska. Okay, Mr. Bernard is from Alaska, so he's definitely going to reach out, and we have from DC, we are from North Carolina, we are from Georgia, we are from Maryland, and people are listening from Montana, California, Arkansas. And I just got a text from somebody from Arkansas listening it. So we have this people go anywhere. So we got to march it. So let's start this march from this March 1st. And Governor Patterson said last time was that March million campaign, what they launched, did not attract many because there was no cost to it. But this $1 million march, or this million people, $1 million march, has a purpose to it, has a cause to this. And what is the cause? The cause is to help these post-incarcerated juveniles and young adults, to give them a better life. Better life does not mean just to hand out, give them some jobs or give them some food or some house. No, that's not what the better life is. Better life is we need to completely give them what they need, what they require as a right. We're talking about right. They have the right to live in this society with a dignity, with a pride, because they need to be appreciated. So that's the announcement I would like to bring forward, that from March 1st, I would like all of our guests, those who are here, please help, please tell the audience that this march is for the month of March, so that we can march from one state to other state. Let us do the entire 50 states. Gary.
Thank you. We got 1 minute left. I want to thank everybody for being on, but I want everybody, please stay on after we're off the air with the radio show. 45 seconds. What a great show.
Could I request Attorney Hickson to say something to the audience, because they are all waiting for Ms. Hickson to be heard. Ms. Hickson.
What I want to say is investments in programs like yours end up not just helping individuals, but it's an investment in our future. It's an investment in family. It's an investment for our future generations. And so I want to encourage those who can to do what they can, so that we're able to encourage young people and give them hope. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I appreciate everybody being here. Let's continue our talk. We are off the radio, but we are now still continuing to talk on the digital platform. So I know that we rushed. I want to give everybody a chance to say what they wanted to say and continue here. So I want to open it up to anyone who didn't get a chance to say what they want to say.
Well, what I would like to do is, because on the opening statement, my brother Eddie, he started asking the question, which I don't know whether his entire thing was been answered, but Brother Eddie, you would like to continue that discussion which you started with me at the starting of the show, and kind of engage everybody back, so that we can answer the question, so the public can listen that we are in the right track.
I appreciate that. I want to say at the outset that what you all and what we did just now, that show should be seen by everybody in the world. The way you handled yourselves, everybody speaking, from the heart, the way you spoke, Dr. Khanna, the way you handled it, Gary, it doesn't get any better than this.
So I'm going to get a job in CNN?
No, you owe me. Okay, but at any rate, to be serious, I want to address Clem. I could address anyone, but I want to talk to Clem.
Oh my God!
No, I want you to know something about me. I've been to your country. I've been to Ghana. Let me tell you something. I know where you're coming from. You know where I know you were coming from? I didn't see not even one individual begging in Ghana. And I was there for a whole week and I got around. And I was so impressed with the Ghanaians. And I'm like, wow. And the modernization, the pride you took in your former leadership, the way you threw off the colonizers off your back, the museums you had. I know where you're coming from. And you're not for anyone, especially us, to say, oh, money's not going to, I got it. But you heard Dr. Baker, and you heard my friend, let me switch to the screen, Mr. Gates. And you didn't hear us just talk about the money. And see, that's the issue. That's one thing, Sharon, that I believe is going to change because of HR 40. Can somebody speak about HR 40? I know about it. Is anybody here who knows a lot about HR 40? Okay, let me tell you what I know about HR 40. HR 40 is legislation that simply, and forgive me if I misspeak, somebody out, well, we're not on air, but maybe somebody can Google it right here. But HR 40 is my understanding.
We are in the air on Facebook.
Okay, great. Maybe somebody can chime in and correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm not going to take more than 6 or more seconds. Here it is. HR 40 is the legislation that simply takes the reparations bill that's been in Congress for about 30 years out of committee to the markup stage. That's my understanding. Now, Mr. Baker can probably speak more about the political process. But when the reparations advocates talked about and celebrated, it was just last week in Congress, when I have friends in the reparations movement, and I asked them, why are you so happy? I thought the bill had passed. They were happy because they were shown this respect finally to take that next step where Clem and all of us, we can now have that dialogue of what it means. What does it mean? And we can take away the stereotype that all Black people, all they want is money. That is not true. And so that's what, if you want me to continue that conversation, let's continue that conversation. In my view, let me just throw out my view. My view is reparations starts at home. That's where reparations starts. It starts from within, okay? And it's not like we need legislation to do that. Maybe we just need Black people to have a whole month off from work. I'm just throwing these ideas out there. Would that cost money? No. We got vacation time anyway, right? Maybe a little bit more vacation, we'll make it up. Do you feel me? A month off, that's just off the top of my head. So we can take the time to meet, to greet, to talk. I'm talking about maybe the whole country can take a holiday. You know, in Africa, they have long holidays, right, Clem? It's like a holiday every month. I'm not putting it down. I've been to Senegal, it's like a holiday so often, and I respect it. I respect it. Give people a break. In Europe, they take long holidays, right? 30 days. I mean, am I right or wrong? So I'm talking about bringing some common sense. I'm talking about bringing the energy that I see and feel here. I'm talking about, let's make it happen. Let's go ahead and step out.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. What I was actually saying was this, and Brother Baker, spoke on that, and that is the set-asides are possible. And when we're talking about reparations, we should be talking about the set-asides that will grow our communities. Okay, so, and again, in this new round of stimulus, this week, the PPP, Payroll Protection Program, is allowing for the smaller businesses to apply for something.
Correct.
Those advantages, small businesses are really talking about minority businesses. Those advantages allow us to do something. And those advantages now puts us in a place where us as a community, we need to provide the leadership for situations like this where we can hold the hands of that small business and show them how to go and get some of that money. Okay, so the part of it is all about our identifying leaders, or our leaders stepping up to be the leaders that we need to be. Because when a situation like this PPP came up, how many of us have gone out there to try to help a minority business to go and get some of the money? Those are the reparations.
Right, exactly. I feel you. Thank you.
No, thank you very much for bringing this particular topic about that Black people, brown people are being treated always that we are here to only get money, or we are here for begging money, or we are here to be thrown a favor to us. Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm going to bring this word. I can't think of a better word than this, called, and nothing against light-skinned people like Gary here, white supremacy. Okay, so if we are not white and if we are any other color like black and brown, we are here for handout. We are here to receive welfare. We are here to do this. We are going to hear. No, that's not. This is what this particular initiative is trying to make a difference. That even this million people, million march is not for asking a favor. It is asking that show your support.
Well, as much as I agree with you, the main point here being that we need to craft our actions in such a way that we are able to take the right advantage. Even if it's a handout, it has to be construed in a way that it will produce benefit to society. It's not just a giving someone free housing and that's the end of it. No, it has to be that beyond a certain point, that person is put on a path, as is done in Israel. If they bring in the people from the diaspora back into the homeland, they put them on a plan, and within a certain amount of months, they are back on their feet, being useful to society. We need to put that type of plan in place, where whatever the situation, coming out of jail, coming out of school, coming out of any place, we have a plan to help our minorities go forward. Okay, if we don't have that plan, it doesn't matter how much free tuition they got, how much free rent they got. It doesn't matter. We have to have a plan to develop them so that we have the next cadre of people to carry forward whatever we are doing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Iboa, for this wonderful thing. My dear guest and whoever is here, my entire team, Sharon, Eddie, I need to have an announcement here, which is very sad. And we all knew that our host, Gary Scorano's brother, was in hospice. He just passed away. So let's take this particular opportunity that we have all of us together. The other day, Sharon and Eddie, we did had a prayer, but today, right now, he just passed away. So let's give all our condolence to Brother Gary, and as well, since we have the most wonderful guests here, I don't know, one of you, if Miss Nina or Mr. Baker or Mr. Gatewood, one of you can take the lead and say a short prayer for the departed soul and to Gary for his protection. Who would like to lead?
Well, I can see Mr. Baker trying to lead.
I couldn't hear you, Mr. Baker.
I was letting Mr. Gatewood lead because I've heard him give great prayers.
Oh, wow. Okay, all the way from Alaska. Mr. Gatewood, please join Please do. Please lead it for the sake of Sharon. Did you hear what I was saying? I know you kind of stepped out. Did you hear that Gary's brother just passed away? Okay.
I'll let you talk to her later.
Yes, please.
I don't know if Rushern has ever heard me pray before, but be that as it may, please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, I'd like to thank you for allowing this group to come together today to talk about some important things in the United States, and particularly as it relates to Black Americans. It's been a tremendously eye-opening and wonderful discussion. But with all things in life, you give and you take away. And we're also dealing with the loss of Mr. Scarano's brother, Mark. We ask that you uplift Gary as well as the Scarano family. We ask that you give him the strength to soldier on and continue this work that Dr. Khanna has begun. We also ask that you continue to bless us and strengthen us as people and as a country as we try to do the right thing, oftentimes not knowing what the right thing is. But please strengthen us, continue to guide us, bless those that are less fortunate, and guide us safely on our journeys as we continue throughout this year. These are the blessings we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you
Okay,
very much, Mr.
that was proof. I have heard Bernard give a prayer before, and he is very good, which is why I called it. That wasn't a shout out to Don. He knows it. I've known him since he was a teenager. And Gary, I do want to offer our condolences, certainly to you and to your family in your loss. So know that.
Thank you.
It was nice that the other day when we had a conference call between Sharon and Eddie, he was driving to spend the night with his brother in the hospital. Though his at that night he was, the medical science says that at that night he will be leaving. Unfortunately, he did not leave until this minute. But Gary kind of spent the entire night typing the memory which he spent, because his brother was just 2 years older than him. And he spent the whole time writing about from the day he gained his consciousness with his brother until now. And that was very nice memory, which he had a time to write it. Not many people do get the time to write and think about all the good memories. I think, Gary, your memories will remain alive always with your brother. I know nobody can replace what you lost, but please, if you have to log off, we all can, stop this thing here right now. We understand. We can reconvene. We can continue back again. But your family comes first, and you need to take care of that. I know you have a call with the whole family. You need to have a lot of things will be happening. And another thing, yes, his brother Gary is lucky that his father and mother, both of them, are still alive, and and they are in 90s. And but we just had I think this is his first death in the family, so he doesn't know even how to deal with it. So, but again, thank you very much for showing the support to all of them.
Well, thank you very much. I'm going to just fade out. You guys can continue. Since I'm running the Zoom, I don't want to disconnect. I'll disconnect. Everybody continue as long as you like. Thank you for your kind words.
Gary, I want you to, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to send him off in a good way. So I want to open the heavens and way.
You got muted. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Clem.
With that, I pray that the heavens are open and he can ascend to the bosom of the Lord. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Clem. Clem is famous in doing that. Mr. Baker, like you heard, and Mr. Surgeon, when you talk about Ghana, this is what he brings from Ghana.
Yes, and I just want to say that I'm sure Clem can chime in on this. He knows a lot more than I in terms of those great traditions from the motherland, from the original people. I just want to say that this is something special. I take it as a sign. I take it as a sign.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm honored to be with wonderful people here. I'm honored. And Sharon, there is a reason now you see every week you are proving yourself that you are the mother of this initiative. Okay. So that is the reason. There is a reason. Okay. And I have to have, Mr. Edward Surgeon to validate that. Can you validate that? Can you support me on that? I can't hear you. You are in mute.
You know where Eddie went.
Eddie, you are mute.
Okay, I'm right here. Yes, I stamped that, and I do call her my queen, my leader, my compatriot. And yes, she's a leader. She gives like a mother, like a big sister, like I'm sure her friends would say like what do you call alumnus. Sharon gives everywhere. I've always known her for all of her career here in Washington, D.C. And I've never forgot her. Matter of fact, Sharon, I've often thought about you over the years. I'm serious. I've thought about you because we have hung out, and it's just something special about you. And we do think about those who are special to us, right? All of us just come to mind, right? Hey, stop laughing. You think I'm crazy? All right.
I got a question for Dr. Khanna. Dr. Khanna, in terms of taking your program, your ideas national, are you familiar with the Coalition of Juvenile Justice?
A little bit, not too much.
Well, you talk about juvenile justice reform, and you've talked about the Reform Act of 2018, which is kind of a reauthorization of the JJDP Act of 74 and reauthorized 2002 and expanded. But it essentially deals with the 4 core mandates. And every state has a SAG, or a state advisory group, that are supposed to make sure that their juvenile justice systems are following the mandates. Well, the Coalition of Juvenile Justice, or CJJ, which is headquartered in DC, is like the umbrella group for these SAGs. And they usually have 2 conferences. They have at least 1 conference in DC every year, or at least they did. And then one somewhere else, California or Georgia or somewhere. But if you should contact CJJ and see about getting on their agenda at their next conference to talk about Khanna for Kids and what you're trying to do. Because everybody, I don't think I'm overstepping or overspeaking when I say all states need help with reintegration, re-entry for incarcerated youth.
No, thank you very much for bringing that point out. Yes, I did actually, I did not reach out to them, but I know there is something called that coalition that did it. And again, I'm sadly, I'm going to say this, that since 1974, this has been done, again, was redone in 2018. What I just told to Mr. Baker the other time and to the audience, that let's not point fingers, okay? And let's not people only think that the government has to do something for us, okay? This coalition, all these things, these are all things which are available, but are we taking advantage of it? No, you are bringing right things up, but how many of us know this? We don't know this. What all things can public get out of it? They don't know. All they know is what is there for me. That's all they always come. That's exactly what they did with the ex-county executive. Okay, what are you going to give me? Okay. Well, I have nothing to give you because this is your money. Okay. You need to work for your own money. I'm not here to give you. Okay. But this is the perception we need to, we need to give. That's why when our brother Eddie started talking about that, people are thinking that, oh, they hear black people, that means they are here to only ask. No. Let's change the perspective. It goes both ways. The government need to change the perspective. The society need to change the perspective. That we, and when we are bringing this type of people from Howard University, from Harvard, from Stanford, from Georgia Tech. I went to Georgia Tech, by the way, and from all these things. So, we need to see that what are we bringing on the table? We are bringing the talents on the table. Like Brother Eddie kind of said about Ghana. Okay, well, these are the talents coming from different parts of the world. This is the consortium of the talents here in this country. And what are we offering? That's what the society needs to think about. Society needs to do about. Not that we are here to open up a bowl. Okay, throw some dollars here. No. And yes, Brother Eddie.
I've sent a text to everybody. I'm going to sign off. I have someone who's waiting to talk to me in a few minutes. I want to say that, yes, in terms of giving more attention or final attention to Mr. Clint Yeboah, as a follow-up, I saw the industriousness of the people of Ghana. And instead of people in a lot of situations turning to handouts everywhere around the world, here, there, everywhere, there are people who allow themselves and who must, I'd imagine, I haven't walked in those shoes per se, but what I saw in Ghana was, I call them walking drugstores.
Well,
walking drugstores, you know what I'm saying? You have people walking through traffic and they have tissues here and cough drops here. They have these jackets and they have all this wares, and they walk down between the cars and you don't have to go to a drugstore necessarily. It's like, oh, I needed some toilet paper. Yeah, I'll give you $1 for that. And I understand also, because I talked to a young lady here in America, because I said, how does that work? Where do they get all the, they said the young men and women, they go to the warehouse in the morning. They buy their wholesale. And then they come simply just like any other business, they sell at a profit. And I just want to say, I'm very impressed with that. This is the kind of industry I believe you want to see among our people here. Bless you for what you brought here. Bless everybody, peace and blessings. I hope to see you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Eddie, for chiming in, and thank you very much for your time. And I appreciate all your support you're giving. And I'm sure the audience loved you and loves you.
Well, thank you. You're lovable too. But Clem wanted to say.
But Eddie, just tarry a second. You see, in the Black History Month, we tend to focus only on the history of Black people in America, right? The problem is that when we take it a little bit back and we look at what happened in 1884 in Paris, where the Europeans were dividing up the land of Africa and putting it under shackles and making some of the things that we know about today as being wrong in Africa. And that we are sitting here, we wanted to go back to Africa, and we wanted to see, there is a whole lot more. And sometimes I don't speak about these things, but I'm saying that when we want to talk about the history of the Black man, we need to go a whole lot more into history. Go 1,000 years into our history.
Okay.
And, so the Black History Month, where we just focus on when the first vessel landed in Virginia or landed in Massachusetts with Black people on it, as the beginning of our history, I think sometimes we miss a lot of things. And you know, Black History Month, that's why my focus is what can we do for our young people for them to be equal. You know, before the Mayflower landed, some other vessels had landed. But the white folks in America start from the Mayflower landing. And you know, I get agitated because there is more to it. There is more to it. And when we only look at a Black history, we have to look at it in tandem with the white history. Because in Virginia, in those days, the bonded servants were sharing the same quarters with our original boatload of people who were also bonded servants. They were not slaves, they were bonded servants. Okay, so when we look at it in tandem, we come to different conclusions. We come to different understandings, and we are able to now teach our young people that, hey, we were all the same, and we can go forward being the same. And we, with our skills and our innate abilities, we can even be better. That's my focus. I think that we can be better.
You're muted.
Thank you, everyone. I was saying, Mr. Yeboah Clem, profound. Thank you for leaving me on such a high note. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. And I would like to really, honor the time of Mr. Baker and Mr. Gatewood. I don't want this show to go for unlimited time. So let's try to wrap this up. And since I think we are in the last phase of this Black History Month. February 28th is the last day for observing this. We are in the last segment of this. So Sharon, would you like to close this episode today with giving some highlight about the Black History Month, importance of the Black History Month, and importance of this initiative? And then we can have a closing remark from both the wonderful guests we have from Maryland and Alaska.
I would just like to thank Rushern and Bernard. Nina had to leave, for joining us today, and a shout out to all of my Howard University family. I know you're out there because I've been getting texts and pings, but thank you all for tuning in and for supporting this. And it's wonderful to be a part of this initiative and to see my fellow Bison family on this show, and to see you logging on online and reaching out to me as we are broadcasting this. So I ask you to just continue to tune in. There are good things ahead, and we have a lot of information to share with you. And we'd love for Rushern and Bernard and Nina to come back, because there was so much information to share that they did not get an opportunity today to talk a lot. But thank you all for being here, and I'm going to turn it on over to Mr. Baker and Mr. Gatewood, because they're the experts. I'm just, here taking notes.
That's what she always says. But she's a mountain of information.
Exactly. No, nobody. We know Sharon well enough to know that's not the case. She has always been a wealth of information. One of the brightest people I've ever had the chance to meet and help us, my wife and I, and help us raise our children, who have turned out to be quite all right. It's been a pleasure to be on the show. Really great subject matter, something that is near and dear to my heart. And I've seen over the years Mr. Gatewood's work in this area, which is not just in Alaska, but has had a profound impact throughout the United States. So thanks for having us. It was great to be on with the team from Howard. It takes me back. When Bernard was talking, I felt like I was back in student government when he was running stuff.
Like you are. I mean, all the memories takes you back. So I know it. Listen, age is just a number. You can still think that you all are still in your 18s and 20s. Okay.
Well,
so
Sharon looks like she's that age. Bernard's beard gives it away. But good thing I'm trying to cut off my my head so you can't see. I have no hair.
I just want to share something about the 1974 Act, and then the responsibilities of government, and then the JDDP and the SAG. And well, here's the thing: monies are passed through the states to do the stuff in the jail system and so on. And what happens is they spend it on policing, they spend it on jail wardens, they spend it on anything else but. Okay, so they've never enhanced the life of the inmate in the jail system. Now, it's been the status quo since 1974. All the reauthorizations, the monies either get spent on these other things for the jail system to continue to operate as a rich, a place to dump money, but there's no benefit for our own kids. So that's something that we need to look at and say, okay, what can we do with all those state monies that are there? How can they set it aside? They receive the money, it's there. But
you're right, that's a good point.
Yeah, if we have the right connections in the state government, in different governments, how can we influence that to make sure that some of those monies are set aside properly for taking care of the post-incarceration period? Right now, they're doing the prevention, but they're not doing much in the jail systems. What can they do to help the post-incarceration system?
Well, the way it's set up, and it's kind of flawed in the way it's set up, in that when you get these block grants from the federal government, if you're not in compliance with the mandates, a percentage of that money is supposed to go to getting in compliance with the mandates.
Exactly. So, but and every time they don't spend it, so the percentage that's supposed to go to fix the system is never spent. Okay, but they will spend everything else.
Thank you very much. Claim, just for all of us to know, because there are some people in the Facebook Live, they're watching us, and one of the important people, those who are watching us today, is from the Radio Model Live, the African American radio station for Haitian American, and Mr. Edzer Toussaint is watching us live from the Spring Valley, New York, with the 88.9 FM radio station, which is dedicated only for Haitian population. So,
that's good.
Yes,
that's wonderful.
And they're watching us, and they want us to next time kind of link it to them so that they have more Haitian population can watch what we just did today. What we did today with bringing the Howard University alumni was a great thing, and everybody loved it. I'm getting lot of feedbacks from different of my people from Washington, D.C. They're listening to me. I really want to thank my Washington, D.C. team for doing this, and they're here listening to us. And I want to disclose this, that Sharon Drake has been recognized. Well, they know Sharon Drake, and they say, wow, we didn't believe that you could attract Sharon Drake to your initiative. I said, I didn't only attract, I've been appointing her, and she has been already appointed as the mother of this initiative.
Hey, we might do the next show from her living room. Who knows?
Oh,
So thank you, brother. Thank you, brother Gatewood, for joining us today. I know I
Absolutely.
heard a lot of good things about you from Sharon. That you've been really watching this show and his initiative. I would love you to join us for giving us your experience and your knowledge that you have for the vocational training and all these things, because we need that.
Not a
So
problem.
I would love to have a offline discussion with you and
Absolutely.
Sharon, and we'll develop. Don't say I'm not going to accept this anymore. You don't say that you're retired. You cannot be retired. Okay? You cannot be retired, because you need to make all these young adults a good citizen like yourself.
Thank you. And absolutely, I'll be glad to talk with you anytime.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Sharon, again. I think we all, since Gary left, I think all we have to do is we all have to log off, and it falls off by
It was
itself.
shut off.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
everybody.
All right.
Have a good
Thank you.
weekend. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you.
Bye-bye.